Everybody, good afternoon. It is Tuesday, April 11th. Hard to believe that it's already April. Feel like it's been a long time since we have done a live stream between having spring break last week and then the week before I was gone on my cruise, which was amazing, by the way. I had such a wonderful time. I didn't get a lot of sun, but I definitely ate quite a bit of food. I ate something for each one of you, so I hope that you had a moment where you felt a random croissant or hamburger or piece of cake or something. I was telling my class before this, my daughter Paisley and I had a croissant eating competition, and she absolutely crushed me. She ate 50 croissants on our week-long trip. I ate a respectable 33, but she definitely beat me out. So anyway, I had a wonderful spring break. I hope a lot of you had a wonderful spring break too. I know some of you, oh my, yeah, it was a lot of croissants. I hope some of you had a chance to go somewhere fun or even just relax as we get ready for this last push of the semester. We don't have that much left of our class, right? Just about a month or so, and then we are headed towards summer. So I hope everyone is doing well and rested and ready to go. Rather than go back and talk about things from 2 weeks ago, I'm just going to focus on what we have going on this week. And we have kind of a slightly different week this week. My goal with this week was to get you to start thinking about one of the big projects that we have at the very end of the semester. So we're building up to that and kind of focusing on it a little bit this week, and that will be our goal. So let's go ahead and head over to Canvas together and take a look at what we have going on. And of course, if you have any questions about past weeks, I'd be happy to answer them. But for the most part, I did send out some feedback. The exam scores looked really good for exam number 3. I also saw really great stuff on the title page. A lot of you really nailed the formatting. So nicely done. Everyone is seeming to do pretty well at the moment, which is great. And as I said, we're right here. We're in week number 13. So if you're looking at this, we have 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. So what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks left of our class, and that is it. So it's definitely kind of getting down to it at this point. And so let's take a look at what we have going on this week for week number 13. And so for week number 13, what we are focusing on this week is the experiment proposal project. So this is something that is going to be due, if you scroll down, and it's not open to you yet, but this is something that is due by May 14th at the very end of the semester during our final week. But rather than save it all the way till then for you to start thinking about, my goal for this week is to take a little bit of time to have you start thinking about it now. That way you can start building up to it. It is a big paper that you are writing along with a couple of other components. So I want to give you the chance to start building up and thinking about and working on it earlier. So you're only reading for this week. So kind of a light week as we transition back from spring break. Your only reading this week is to read about the experiment proposal project. So if you click on that, what it's going to do is bring up the document with all of the instructions for this project. And this project altogether is worth 60 points. And as it says here, the purpose of this project, let me make this bigger. The purpose of this project is to give you an opportunity to apply the research principles you've learned over the course of our semester. For this assignment, you will design and write up a brief proposal for an original experiment in APA formatting, along with the creation of a digital visual aid that will be presented to the class online. Both the written portion and the digital visual aid will be submitted online via the assignment instructions link on our Canvas page. So you're basically writing a paper, right? A pretty decent length paper, 5 to 7 pages, including the title page and the abstract, which are both very brief pages. This should be something that's done in APA style, typed, double-spaced, kind of all the typical APA style recommended font. The paper itself is worth 45 points. Your visual aid is going to be worth 15 points. And then you also have a very brief video that you will be doing as part of that as well. So you have a video, a visual aid, and a paper. And so my goal at the moment, again, is to have you start thinking about this now and kind of building up to it. You can always change your selection later, but obviously the sooner you commit, the better off you're going to be. Someone said, I have a question about the project. Can it be related to a hypothetical experiment we came up with earlier this semester, or do you want something completely new? If you have something in mind that you already maybe ran with, I know there was the one discussion where you came up with an experiment. That would be totally fine with me. You're going to have to elaborate and build on it a little bit more. So if you have an idea, go for it. If you want to do something new, that's fine as well. Either one of them would be completely fine with me. Thank you for asking. So, you're going to be having a lot of specifics and content in this paper. So the paper, 45 points, 5 to 7 pages, right? It should have a lot of effort going into it. You're going to be creating a title page, which you just did right before spring break. So you could always work on that while it's fresh in your mind, or at least know that you can go back and look at that. But you'll have a title page including the title of your proposed experiment, your name, your affiliation, and any other relevant APA guideline information. You'll have a brief abstract. I want you to practice with writing these. It's kind of a short summary. These aren't very long in the slightest, but it's kind of a fun way to summarize your paper. You're going to have a lengthy methods section. Your proposal should have a methods section with the following information. You're going to talk about your participants, including the number of them, their demographics, how they'll be selected, and so on. You're going to talk about your design, and you're going to talk about your procedure, right? So you should have kind of a decent length method section where you're going to talk about, the age, gender, all the demographic information if somebody wanted to do your study for real or replicate it, how they will be selected. So you're going to talk about sampling procedures, be detailed. How are you going to find your subjects? How will you avoid possible issues related to sampling? I want you to demonstrate to me that you understand how to avoid some of these common threats to external validity. You're going to talk about your design. Is it a between subjects or within subjects? Is it mixed? You're going to talk about each independent variable, how it will be operationalized, what are the levels and conditions, what is the dependent variable, and how will that be measured and operationalized. You're going to talk about how your participants are assigned to groups, again looking at how you can avoid common threats to internal validity. So you're showing off your knowledge and incorporating everything from the semester. And then in the procedure, you'll be talking about what exactly will people be doing from beginning to end. Within this, you're going to stress similarities and differences between the different groups and conditions. You're going to be mindful of any kind of potential confounds, pros and cons of your design, how you're going to avoid or control for any disadvantages. So you're describing the whole thing as if you were doing it. Now, you're not actually doing this research study, but you are describing it from beginning to end, almost like a proposal if you were to do this. Are we coming up with the methods? Is it okay to assume? Yes, you can have unlimited money, unlimited resources, unlimited knowledge. You can have anything and everything. So have fun with this. It doesn't necessarily have to be something directly connected to psychology. This could be anything that you want to study. I'm completely fine with that. I'd rather it be something that interests you. If you wanted to, study, what are the differences between Carnival and Royal Caribbean cruises, right? That's on my mind right now as I'm thinking ahead to my next one. It can be anything. I just want it all set up really well, and I want you to show off your knowledge that you've gained from the semester. You're also going to have a discussion section where you talk about what are your predictions? What would you expect to find? What are some possible limitations or ethical issues that you might need to be addressing if this were actually being done? You could also talk about any recommended future directions. So where could you spin off of this for a future study? So this is the bulk of your points. And again, I'm not expecting you to write this stuff now, but this is what you're going to be writing in the final paper and starting to think about now. So I'm getting you to try and think ahead. And if you can't narrow it down to one topic, you can always do a couple of topics right now. But obviously, the sooner you narrow it down, the easier your life is going to be. So the other thing that you create for this is you will have a little bit of a visual aid, a flyer and a video. And I think this is kind of fun. You're going to make a little single flyer, a single page highlighting your experiment proposal. This is going to be something that's uploaded. It can be an image, but be mindful of the file types. You're also going to create a 2-minute or less video where you kind of describe your experiment proposal. You'll be uploading this as well. It's got to be brief or it'll be too big. So like under 2 minutes. This can be you talking about your project, talking about your digital flyer. This can be done using Zoom very easily, or anything that you have access to. But those two things together are worth 15 points. It doesn't have to be in future tense. Somebody asked if it needed to be in future tense. You'll just be writing about it as if you were doing it. So you could choose future tense. So you could just write about it in like current, present tense. Whatever makes the most sense to you is completely fine. Not being an English teacher, I won't be punitive, I should say, on your grammar and all of those things, as long as it doesn't take away from the paper. So as long as you're consistent and it makes sense and it's been proofread and all of that stuff, I'm never going to take off points. Right? My partner's an English teacher, so I'll leave that to her, not for me. And then some more, a little bit more information here. Your experimental proposal project will be submitted online through Canvas. I think that date might be incorrect, right? I'm just looking at it here. I think our class ends on the 14th, right? Let me double check. Yes, it's the 14th. So I will make sure to change that shortly. So just, I don't want to confuse you there on accident. But all of this will be submitted online through Canvas. You can see the rubric I have here for the paper, the visual aid, and the video. All of it together is worth 60 points. Again, this should be something that you spend a considerable amount of time on. So I'm really looking for you to elaborate and highlight all of this stuff, show off all of your knowledge. I'll upload and fix this later, but if you go back to the actual assignment, it does say the correct day, which is the 14th. So I know I went through that I feel like I went through it okay, but if you want to read through it in more detail, here it is. Make sure that you do that. That is your only reading for this week, so make sure that you're very comfortable with it. And then what you'll be doing is thinking about it a little bit in the discussion for this week. So for discussion number 13, as always, you have my instructions. And then you have a little video that I made for you where I talked about the instructions for it and tips and everything. But what I want you to do is start thinking about that project in an effort to help you get started. So number one, you're going to think about what are the topics or topic, if you've narrowed it down, that you're considering for your project. Give it some serious thought, try and narrow it down so that this makes it where you actually do make some progress toward that final project. Right? The sooner you narrow it down, the easier your life will be. I want you to describe your independent and dependent variables. Think about how you're going to operationalize them. What levels or conditions do they have? How are you going to measure them? Start thinking about those elements. How are you going to acquire your sample? Think about some of the sampling methods you could use. What are some possible problems you could run into? Start thinking about all that. And then what are some possible threats to internal validity, and how will you address them? So this isn't going to be enough for the final paper, but it's going to get you thinking about it. So again, the sooner that you narrow it down, the better you're going to be in terms of making that progress. So really a great chance for you to get going on that. Save all of this, obviously, so that you can use it for that final paper. But all of this here is going to get you moving toward that. Don't forget to also reply to a classmate to get those 2 points as well. And the more that you give me here, the better off you will be for that final paper. I also want to point out, you can't see it quite yet, but in a couple of weeks, what I will be doing is opening the remainder of the class. So when we get to, I believe it's week 15, I'll open the last 3 weeks up. And under the last week, there's some sample papers and sample flyers. So you can't see them quite yet, but you will be able to see them when we get there. And these will allow you to kind of see what other people have done. And I think if I go up here, I'm going all the way up, forgive me here. Sorry to race through that. No, I was wondering if I've made them available, but I don't think I could do that part way. So when you get to those last couple of weeks being available, you will be able to look at all of these. For now, you don't need to worry about that. Just worry about thinking of your topic, thinking of the elements of it, as we just talked about, and that's what you're doing for discussion number 13. The other thing that you have this week, a short 5-point assessment. You've done a couple of these up till now, but we are 3/4 of the way through our class. We've done 12 weeks of content. This is an opportunity for you to reflect one last time on where you are now and where you would like to be, and are you doing everything in the right way. So this is just a chance for you to, kind of reflect on your progress and grades and approach to the class. Please be honest. You get 5 points for doing this, regardless of what you say. So be honest. If you're not doing what you would like to be doing, say that. If you're happy with where you're at, say that. That's totally fine. But you'll take this and reflect on that as part of this week. And then the only other thing that you have this week is the usual extra credit opportunity, which I will give you in a moment. And of course, I'll post the recording of this a little bit later today once it is uploaded and downloaded. But are there any other questions for now about the discussion for this week, the experiment proposal project? We're obviously going to talk about it again when we get to week number 17. And week number 17, that final week, you'll have an exam, you'll have that project and a little class survey to close up with. But I don't want you working on it all at the end of the semester, which is the point of this week. So while I'm waiting to see if any of you have any questions, I do have a few reminders for all of you. Because we have not met in a couple of weeks, the vast majority of you have lost your subscription status. So I have 150 online students and I have 7 that are subscribed. So if you could take a moment today or tomorrow, sometime this week, please go and renew that one last time. It should take you through the rest of the semester or pretty close to. But I'm having to look up all of you and it's taking me a lot of time. So if you have a moment to go renew that, I would greatly appreciate it. The other reminder that I have for you is if you're looking to next week, let me put this here in the chat. Our next Twitch live stream will be on Wednesday, April 19th at 12:30 p.m. So we'll go back to our normal day and time next week. Sorry for changing that up on you this week, kind of getting back into things from spring break and our trip. And so everything was a little kind of disheveled, so I'm sorry about that. But our next Twitch live stream will be on Wednesday next week, back to our normal day and time at 12:30. And so we can plan on that. And again, if you can take a moment to figure out the subscription part, I would really appreciate it. The only other thing that I have for you is I did write out your extra credit question, kind of an easy one. We're all transitioning back from spring break, right? So I tried to make this week a little bit kinder, a little milder in a way. So your extra credit question for week number 13, pretty simple one. We just went over this. How many points is the experiment proposal project in total? How many points is it worth? And when is it due, right? So how many points and when is it due? And when you're ready to answer that, you'll click on optional Twitch extra credit number 13, since we're in week 13. And then let me get into student view here. Then you'll click at the top on start assignment. And that's going to bring up the little text box where you can type your response and then hit submit. Get the confetti burst and anything else. Rocket ships, naturally, right? Rocket ships. And this is due by this Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. like usual. It's worth 2 points. Very easy 2 points this week. So definitely take advantage of that. But otherwise, get going on the materials for week 13. Start narrowing down your topics for that paper, for the project, right? And if you want to change it later, that's totally fine. But again, the sooner that you commit, the easier your life is going to be, the more progress you'll be able to make. So I will hang out for a little while if you do have any questions or anything for me. Otherwise, I hope you're all doing really well. I hope you're hanging in there. It's definitely feeling like spring. It's a little warmer, though it looks like it might cool down one more time. But I hope everyone is doing good. Hang in there. We're almost there, like 4 or 5 weeks, and we are done with this semester. So I hope, again, you're great. I will hang out for a little while. I'm going to minimize my video so I'm not staring at myself. But if you do have any questions for me, I will be here. Thank you. Thank you all as well. I hope you all have a wonderful week and that you're doing well. Yep. See you next week. Thank you as well.